Major League Baseball is about a week away from its opening day to restart the season. Um, and with that case, most people are joyous, hoping that the season can get off the ground, hoping that we can get some games played. Some of the players, on the other hand, are having probably their toughest decision this year, and that is whether to play this season or if they don't feel comfortable enough with the precautions set in by the government, the cities, the states, and the precautions that Major League Baseball is set in, they have the right to opt out. Uh, Major League Baseball and the Players Association, part of the agreement that said late July that we're going to start playing baseball games, uh, they had a clause in for players that whether you're high risk, you can opt out and still receive your pay and your service time, or if you don't feel comfortable enough with it anyway and you're not high risk, and that's for you, your family, or that anybody that lives with you or whatever. Um, you won't you will not automatically receive your pay and your service time. But clubs have uh, outlets available for some of the players to still get um, compensated. That's the word. So if they do decide I'm going to opt out, that's they're able to. Uh, co- Coaches, trainers, they've they also have the ability to opt out. I believe umpires as well, um, and the compensation on non-high risk players is regarding club by club basis. So maybe let's say the Cubs don't. Let's say Jason Hayward decides I'm going to opt out this season. He's not high risk. Cubs decide, all right, we're not going to pay you your pay. We're not going to give you what you signed up for in your contract. But then let's say the Brewers, let's say Omar Narvaez decides I'm gonna opt out, and the Brewers say, all right, we'll pay you what you were supposed to make this year. Now, there's been a decent amount of players that have opted out. There will be more coming closer and closer to the end of the month when the season will start in about a week and a half, a week, I think, time. Um, and probably the biggest names are Felix Hernandez, who just signed a new contract with the Braves, and whether or not he was going to start for them or not doesn't matter. They needed pitching depth. That's what killed them last year in the playoffs. Uh, and with him out, that could hurt them. Nick Markakis, who was usually their starting right fielder, probably more of a bench player, is out now, and that'll hurt them. Most of these opt-outs will hurt the team. That's just how it is. Uh, Cardinals lose Jordan Hicks. He's a type 1 diabetic, so according to the clause that Players Association and MLB set up, he's a high risk candidate, so he opts out. Diamondbacks, Mike Leake opts out. Dodgers, David Price opts out, which sucks for the Dodgers because, as in the Braves situation, they need pitching. Dodgers needed pitching. Getting Betts was nice and all, but if you put up 10 runs in your pitching rotation and your bullpen give up 12, then no matter what Betts does on the field, isn't going to help when your bullpen and your starters can't hold the game. Buster Posey opts out of this year's contract, and there are a lot of coaches that are opted out. I won't talk much about them as of right now. I won't. Nationals, they lose Joe Ross. They lost Wellington Castillo, and they're arguably not their best player, but their franchise player. They lost Ryan Zimmerman for this year, which could be his last year, and what I will talk about later in the video. The older players that are opting out, are they going to come back for next year, or are they just going to retire, have they think about it and say, you know what, I'm done, I don't want to come back. And then I'll also talk about the inverse side of players that don't feel comfortable playing, but that they need to play so they can still get paid, and they won't lose that spot for next year. Pirates lose Hector Noisy. Rockies lose Ian Desmond, who was very vocal about it about a week ago, 6 days to about a week and a half ago. But he was very vocal about why he was opting out and what he hopes he can change for the future of the sport and future of life, pretty much, about what's going on in the world. And Michael Kopech also decided, I'm going to opt out for this year. Especially with Kopech, he's had a lot of issues mentally and physically, because I believe he had a torn ACL last year, I think, 2 years ago at this point. I don't remember. But that's not a lot of names, but the types of names that are doing it are quite big names. Especially like Posey, like David Price, like Ryan Zimmerman. He's on a tier lower than that, but as Nationals fans, he's up there. Kopech's this bright young star coming out, and he's decided, I'm not going to play this year. And then getting on the inverse side of the guys that are kind of getting up there in age, that decide, you know what, I'm going to opt out for this year. You have guys like Brock Holt that came out, I believe 2 days ago, that said, if I feel that I opt out, I don't feel that I'm going to be able to play baseball again, because somebody will take my spot and I won't get looked at. And that's probably a real threat to a decent amount of players. Our fringe guys, bench bats mostly, utility infielders, that if they were to opt out, in their mind and thinking, they will lose that spot and they won't get picked up. And that's a big issue, especially with guys, because we got to keep in mind, baseball players, the average baseball player ain't making $300 million. The average baseball player ain't making $30 million. Average baseball player is probably making, it still sounds like a lot of money, but probably 60% of the league's making less than $2 million, which that's still a lot of money. $2 million is a lot of money. But when you think about it, and the league minimum is about $560,000, and then you got to slash the give them the prorated salary, so they're already getting less pay than they originally were anyway, which I think we forgot about. These guys aren't going to be making as much money as they thought they would be throughout the season anyway. So it's gonna be interesting to see who will come out in the next days to a week of players that could opt out. There were rumors that Mike Trout was going to opt out. I don't see that happening. It'd be a big shock if he did. But this could be a very interesting time of waiting period for the season to start, that some bigger name players decide to opt out. Biggest name is Price, Posey, and Zimmerman. Maybe a Trout level guy decides, you know what, I'm gonna opt out this season. Kids are coming, or I got issues with the family or something. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the next week of waiting does. And in other news, Yasiel Puig, who was a free agent for what seemed like forever, finally signed with the team. He signed with the Braves. And I said this with the Dodgers thing. With the Braves, Puig's going to be mostly a bench bat. He'll probably split time with Markakis in right. But since they got Ozuna in left, you got Acuna in center, that means you're going to have 3 outfielders playing for right field in Inciarte, Markakis, and Puig. Markakis is getting up there in age, so it'll probably be Markakis. I could see probably being more of a bench bat. I could see it probably being Puig and Inciarte splitting the time out there in the outfield. But I think all Snitker will find a way to get all 3 guys equal playing time, as equal as you can get. But with the issue with them signing Puig, it's a nice move to bolster the depth of that team. which that team's crazy enough as it is already. They got Puig in the offseason. They got Puig, they got Ozuna. That's nice and all. But your offense wasn't the reason you lost in the divisional round last year. It was your pitching. You gave up 10 runs in 1 inning. The offense wasn't what let you down. It was the pitching. And the best you do for starters, anyway, is you signed Felix Hernandez. You signed 35-year-old Felix Hernandez in the offseason, who wasn't even going to play this year. Which at the time they signed him, nobody saw this coming. But still, you signed a guy who, at the point of signing, might not have even played for you. And I mean, to bolster the bullpen help with, Shane Marine last year at the deadline. You got Will Smith in the offseason. And that's nice news, but your ace is still Fultonevich. And then after that, you got Mike Soroka's looking pretty good. Max Fried is looking good for a lefty. And after that, you go down in production, quality, everything. And I mean, Fultonevich was the one that got rocked for 10 runs in the division series in Game 5 against St. Louis. So, for you guys to go further in the playoffs, the Braves have to get pitching. Or bank on the guys like Soroka, like Max Fried, to have a hell of a year this year. With it only being 60 games, that could happen. I still have the Braves probably winning the division. With it being 60 games, nobody knows. Hell, the originator of always going 13-2 to start the season, Seattle Mariners. Well, that's 15 games. That's a quarter of the season. Mariners could easily be third in the AL West. It's just, with 60 games, you never know what's going to happen. Because now it's like football. Every game matters. They cut the season down by 2/3. Now every game matters. But, that's the end of the video. If you guys liked it, press the like button, subscribe down below. That would be greatly appreciated. Share this video with all your friends and buddies. And I will see you guys in the next video.